Oh my goodness. The reality of homeschool, unfiltered. I didn't do my hair. I didn't put on makeup. I didn't try to make things look awesome and amazing because life is not like that. And we live in a world where we like to put on our best faces, share our most funniest memes, and talk only about the amazing side of homeschool or life. And there's a lot that is amazing, right? Our kids are fantastic. Our spouses are fantastic. Our life is fantastic. Everything's warm and fuzzy. But sometimes it's not. And I want you to know that it's okay. Your family is not a disaster. Your life is not a disaster. Your kids are not being broken because you've chosen this kind of a lifestyle. I need you to know that sometimes homeschooling is ugly. It just is. Sometimes the house is a mess, the food burns, the laundry's building up, the kids aren't getting along, and they can't remember what you just learned yesterday. Now, don't judge me because I chose to come on here looking like my true, raw self. I want you to embrace the true rawness of being a homeschool mom, a homeschool family. This is one of those things that is hard, but it's the right kind of hard. It's the good kind of hard. It's the rewarding kind of hard. You know, you don't just get into physical shape because you decide to go on a 10-mile walk or a 30-mile run. You get healthier, you get into health shape by a lifestyle of eating well, resting, eating the proper like nutritious foods, and moving very purposefully over an extended period of time. Homeschooling's like that. You're not gonna conquer this homeschooling journey with one fantastic lesson or one really great year. Instead, it's going to be decade or decades of dedicated investing into your kids, into your family. Some days are going to be really hard. It's like really hard. Like the time my kids tried to accidentally hang the dog in the backyard. But they didn't really mean to, but they weren't paying attention in his leash, and a long story. Some days are hard. Some days the lessons will leave the kids in tears because they're perfectionists and they don't like not being able to do something, or your teaching style and their learning style just don't fit in that moment, on that day, in that year, whatever. Sometimes there's fights. Sometimes the kids fight. One of my kids' stupidest arguments was because it was over blueberries. Like they didn't, it was ridiculous. It's like, and they were ready to kill each other over it. They were blackberries, ready to kill each other. Some drama is he's touching me, he's looking at me, she won't leave me alone, she won't stop talking, she won't let me finish. There's that nick, because homeschooling is like, it's like spaghetti. Everything that we do, everything we say, everything we feel, everything we hope for, it's all mixed together. And because of that, it's hard to separate the successes from the failures. It's hard to separate the good from the bad. But it can be the most amazing, wonderful journey if you stick and stay. Now, I'm going to pause right here and I'm going to tell you that homeschooling is not for everyone. It's also not for everyone for the entire educational journey. Homeschooling is also not necessarily for every one of your children under your roof. Every single one of us has a different skill set, a different set of circumstances, different challenges that we need to make the best choices for ourselves, our kids, our families, year after day, after month, after everything. You know, when people asked me through our homeschooling career, how long will you homeschool? I always would answer, well, all I know is that I'm homeschooling today because this is what I'm called to do today. This is what we're doing today. Next year, we'll pray about it and we'll see. But I know that I'm homeschooling today. And now when I blink and I look back 20, 25 years, we homeschooled all the way through. But I never knew whether or not I was going to be homeschooling all those years. I know families that I love and adore that have homeschooled some of their children and not homeschooled others of their kids because they were very aware that what works for one may or may not work for another. And so I want you to know that as I'm talking about the good and the bad of homeschooling, and I'm out here sharing all the wonderful things that our kids get to do, or ideas, tips, and tricks for how to make it more successful. Um, it may not work for you, and that's okay. Or you may be able to glean some of the things and let go of others, and that's okay too. So, why did I risk coming out here completely vulnerable? No hair done, no makeup, no nothing. I'm in the middle of listening to, I got an audiobook, and I don't even remember how I stumbled upon the book. It's called Deep Kindness. And one of the ideas flowing over it is this idea of being vulnerable and being real. That if you follow homeschoolers online, if you'll see that everybody's always putting their best days forward, the best memes, the best projects that their kids are doing, the best lessons, and they're not sharing, the fact that they chose their sofa by how many loads of laundry it would hold at a time, or the fact that while one kid is succeeding in one room, another kid is redecorating with nail polish in the other room, right? They're not sharing that kind of stuff. They're not sharing the fact that, maybe they don't get along with their spouse all the time. Maybe their kids don't get along all the time. Maybe they have prodigal kids, even with the best intentions, raising all the kids to do the things and to think the things and to believe the things and to be the things, that still they grew up and chose to do other things. You don't know what's behind the scenes of being, what is behind the scenes. Somebody's telling me YouTube is broken, so I'm hoping that it'll circle back and it'll work later, but you don't know what is really going on behind the scenes. And so I'm out here just being completely vulnerable and letting you know that it's okay to be a hot mess, and that being a hot mess doesn't mean that you're not succeeding and thriving. You can succeed and thrive and be a hot mess at the same time. Did you know that? Life is wonderful and it's full. And homeschooling done right is kind of like walking through the fog where you can only see the steps right in front of you. I feel like my calling is to let you know that you may only always see the step in front of you. But if you keep focused on the heart and the character of your kids, if you keep focused on the heart and the character of your kids, and you pause to lean into the things of life that really, really matter, after 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to look back and you're going to see the fruit of all of the labor. You're going to see how far you've come, and you're going to be thankful for the fog, because wow, did you miss a whole bunch of stuff. I so much going on. So homeschooling can be ugly. It can be hard. People can be fighting. There can be drama. There can be tears because you're discouraged and distressed that you might be messing up your kids, and that, oh my goodness, are they gonna launch and succeed when they grow up in life? So it's okay, because it's a gorgeous mess. It really, really is. And as much as there are ugly days, there are glorious days. As much as there are hard days, there are easy days. As much as there's fighting, there are going to be moments or days or weeks or months of amazing teamwork and cooperation. There may be drama, but there also will be peace, knowing that you're doing what's best for your kids and your family. So I just want to encourage you, let your hair down. Know that it's okay. You don't always have to put on a perfect face. Actually, I think we need to see each other in a less perfect way. I think we need to see the real us. If you're a homeschool mom like me, you know that our worst critics are ourselves and other women. Whew, goodness gracious. Be okay. with not having perfect skin, amazing hair, um, a body that is the size that you feel like it should be on the inside, or the fact that your kids don't walk yet, don't talk yet, don't read yet, can't remember how to add, can't remember how to subtract, don't know what hyperbole is or what a verb is, or where Afghanistan is, or where is don't worry that they're going to embarrass you in public when somebody asks them what grade they're in, and they look at you like, I was in the doctor's office the other day with a child older than 16, and the nurse asked what his date of birth was, and he looked at me like, I'm like, dude, this is your birth date. He goes, I was trying to figure out how to say it right. Do you say this month and year? Do you say the number? I was trying to translate it into the number. It's like, don't worry. The kids they're gonna be fine. They're gonna make it. You're gonna be looking at your 18, 20-year-old. They're gonna know how to read. They're gonna know how to write. They're gonna know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. But do they have grit? Do they melt when put under stress and strain? Do they lean into things that they're curious about? Do they dig deep when they find something that they're passionate about? Do they see connections in things that they wouldn't have normally seen? Are they kind? Oh, get the book Deep Kindness. I'll drop the link in the descriptions, but oh my goodness, I'm making all of my kids listen to it, and I'm hoping to listen to it over and over again. It's so much more than confetti kindness, so much more than that, and it's profound. And the beautiful part about being a homeschooler is that you can clearly see something like this need to teach kids to be kind in a compassionate, vulnerable way, and you can see that that's more important than whatever read aloud the curriculum writers had chosen for you to read that day. It's like, oh, you can just replace it with something that you can see that has more value. You can look at your kids, and when they exercise some kind of skill that turns into a passion, you can push things aside to give them more room so that they can blossom and develop and grow. Homeschooling is amazing. It really is. It's amazing when we can be raw and real. It's amazing when we can give our kids what they need and allow them to be kids. They are not going to get it. They're not going to understand. They're going to flop and flail and sometimes fight and argue and bicker. They'll be lucky. I don't know about your kids. All 5 of my boys are extremely lucky that they survived their 12th year of life. Whew. They have safe places to grow. They have safe places to develop. Ginger, you've been digging deep into nursing in the hospital, so learning about nursing. But you can look into, I'm reading another book, what's it called? The Power of Pull, I think. I'll drop the link because I think I just massacred the title. But the idea that when you find something that you're passionate about and you start leaning into it, where are those people hanging out? Where, engaging in conversations with people, you'll have those serendipitous moments where suddenly the person next to you is the kind of, using you as an example, the kind of nurse that you hope to be, and you're able to ask them all the questions about schooling and teaching and training and how to get their place, and what is the most rewarding part of nursing, or what is the most challenging. Just having those conversations it adds so much wealth to you. So anyway, the reality of homeschooling is that it's hard. It really is. It's not, don't let anybody tell you it's easy. It's easy to people that are thinking about homeschooling a year from now, because they have the rose-colored glasses on. It's hard because your kids are still your kids, right? You send them to school and they get to go to school to learn and then come home to be a kid. Homeschooling is different. You're learning as you're being a kid, as you're being raised and trained to be a future adult, and it's all mixed together. And so that makes it challenging. And all the parts and pieces are full-time jobs, right? To train up the character in your kids is way more important than the academic side, in that if they don't have a substantial character to stand upon, it doesn't matter how smart they are, because they're going to fail at life if they're not kind and compassionate and responsible and diligent and disciplined and all the rest. They need those things to stand on. And the reality is that there aren't that many things that our kids need to know academically. They need foundational skills. And I have a whole series, I think, it's rolling in my head about the types of things that our kids need to know. But you already know the answers. They need to know how to read, and they need to be exposed to a wide variety of reading material, both that they read by themselves and that they listen to, because you get very different things from reading things on paper versus having them read aloud to you. You can always tell when somebody does a lot of reading quietly to themselves, because they mispronounce words in the most amusing way, like subtle. Well, that was subtle, my oldest said to me one day. And I said, subtle? He goes, oh, is that how you say it? It's like, yeah. He goes, the B is silent? Like, yeah. So subtle. So we know that they need to read. We know they need to be marinated in amazing literature. We also need to know, they need to know their basic math so that they can function in society. Not all of us need to be grand mathematicians. And so, but we do need to know how much money we have in our checkbook, whether or not something is a good investment. I was looking at the store yesterday at 2 products, and it made me so mad because one of them was priced per ounce and the other one was priced per unit. And it was such that you had to pull out your calculator and do calculations to determine which one was the lower price. It's like, oh, they do that on purpose so that you get tricked. So basic math. And then from there, they need to be curious, because science is all about curiosity. And they also need to be interested in what happened in the past, history. And then the arts, being tapped in to all of the amazing things that are out there artistically. We want to expose our kids to things artistically. So, and that's kind of it. What you teach them to read, so poetry, drama, plays, romance, science fiction, historical fiction, all the rest, all the genres. What kinds of things do you teach them in math? You just think through the basics: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentages, decimals, like that kind of stuff. Stuff you would need in a kitchen, stuff you would need if you were going to buy wood to redo a deck, that kind of stuff. And then everything else is just a matter of just leaning in, and exposing them to things. So the reality of homeschooling, it's amazing. It really is. I look back and there are things that I would do differently, but at the same time, I think all of the kids turn out the way that they need to be, because we've allowed them to lean into the things that they love. So anyway, to wrap it up, get a copy of the book Deep Kindness. It is something I will probably be telling everybody about. It is so profound and so simple and so hard all at the same time. It's different than the subtle, common kindnesses of being polite, please and thank you. The confetti kindnesses of those random act of kindness that are kind of hit and run. It's way deeper than that. It's so amazing. So get a copy of that. Look for the other book. It's kind of a business-oriented book, but it's amazing if you're trying to pursue your dreams, like in your nursing. I would highly recommend that you get a copy of that book as well. And I think that's it. So I will see you soon, probably with hair done and makeup. But I want you to know it's okay to be you, and I'm glad you're here. So if you've listened and watched this far, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you know anybody that would be interested, just kind of pass it along. So we need to know it's okay to let our hair down or keep it up. Have a wonderful day.